WNBA finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, it's.
In professional sports, it is often said that no individual is ever greater than the league. The commissioner holds the gavel, and the shield always protects itself. But every rule has its exceptions, and in the WNBA, many believe that exception has a name: Caitlin Clark. Over the past year, we have watched a quiet conflict grow between Caitlin Clark's new wave of popularity and the WNBA's old guard. Now, according to reports, that Cold War has suddenly heated up. WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is reportedly furious behind closed doors following major developments involving NBC and the future of the league's broadcasting rights. This was reportedly more than a business deal. It represented a dramatic shift in who controls the league's biggest story. Reports suggest the front office realizes it may have lost control of its most valuable asset as the balance of power continues to change. This story is about much more than basketball. It is about money, influence, jealousy, and the growing belief that the WNBA establishment made a massive mistake. Instead of slowing down a superstar, many believe they handed her the keys to the kingdom. According to reports, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has now been forced to confront a difficult reality. The WNBA may need Caitlin Clark far more than Caitlin Clark needs the WNBA. Some even claim NBC's involvement has strengthened Clark's position so much that she now has leverage the league cannot ignore. To understand why the commissioner is reportedly so frustrated, you have to look at the scope of the NBC agreement. The WNBA secured a record-breaking 11-year media rights deal worth more than $2.2 billion. On paper, it looks like one of Cathy Engelbert's greatest accomplishments, and she could easily stand at the podium claiming she helped transform the league's future. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers still haven't subscribed. It's completely free, takes only a second, and it helps the channel more than you know. So, have you subscribed yet? Great! Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get back to the story. According to reports, a very different picture appears when you examine the details behind the agreement and the network's behavior. Critics argue NBC did not simply invest billions in the WNBA, they invested in the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. Reports claim Clark-centered programming sits at the heart of NBC's long-term strategy. The network reportedly has little interest in the league's long-standing, everyone is equal marketing philosophy. They believe the ratings come from one player, and they intend to follow the ratings wherever they lead. That has reportedly created a major divide inside the league. Commissioner Engelbert continues promoting the idea that all 144 roster spots carry equal value, while NBC is said to view the league primarily through the lens of its biggest star. According to those reports, the network has effectively bypassed the commissioner's preferred messaging by putting so much emphasis on Caitlin Clark. Cathy Engelbert cannot simply ask NBC to stop showcasing Clark if the numbers continue supporting that decision. Nor can she convince the network to focus instead on teams like the New York Liberty or the Las Vegas Aces if the audience keeps choosing number 22. Many believe the announcement carried a message far beyond television scheduling. It signaled that the broadcast partners now have enormous influence over the league's direction and that Caitlin Clark is their centerpiece. But the NBC agreement was only part of the story. The conversation quickly shifted to the Unrivaled League, the new 3-on-3 competition founded by stars Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. It was promoted as the WNBA's major off-season showcase, giving elite players an opportunity to earn significant money while staying in game shape during the winter. The league had funding, elite talent, and plenty of attention, but according to reports, it still needed one player above all others to become a true breakthrough success: Caitlin Clark. Reports claim Unrivaled offered Clark a package comparable to superstar deals seen in other sports, including more than $1 million in salary, league equity, and substantial financial incentives. It was reportedly an offer few athletes would ever reject. Many expected Caitlin Clark to accept, elevate the new league, and stand alongside many of the sport's biggest names. Then came the surprise that stunned so many observers. According to reports, Caitlin Clark declined. She reportedly turned down the opportunity to join the league despite the enormous financial package and the chance to play alongside many of the game's elite players. Reports suggest that decision landed like a shockwave throughout basketball circles, and many believe the front office felt the full impact of that refusal. Why? Because many people saw it as a statement. By reportedly turning down Unrivaled, Caitlin Clark denied the new league the attention many believed it desperately wanted and, in the eyes of supporters, sent a message that she did not need anyone else's money or approval. To many observers, it showed that she was building her own brand outside the circle that had often appeared hostile toward her throughout the season. Critics argue that this was a difficult moment for Cathy Engelbert because it suggested Clark was willing to chart her own path, even if it meant leaving the rest of the basketball establishment behind. To understand why reports claim the commissioner has become so frustrated, many point to the criticism surrounding her own leadership. According to those critics, the tension between Caitlin Clark and the league office did not begin with NBC. Early in the season, fans watched Clark absorb hard fouls and repeated physical contact that many felt crossed the line from tough basketball into unnecessary targeting. Throughout much of that stretch, the league office remained largely silent. Many believe Cathy Engelbert was hesitant to strongly defend the rookie out of concern for upsetting veteran players. Then came the interview that many believe changed everything. When asked about growing concerns over the league's atmosphere and increasingly heated fan reactions, Engelbert gave a corporate-style answer suggesting that rivalries helped generate attention, drawing comparisons to the famous Bird vs. Magic era. The response immediately drew criticism. The Women's National Basketball Players Association responded publicly. Caitlin Clark supporters criticized the commissioner, and even portions of the media questioned her remarks. Although Engelbert later clarified and apologized, many believe the damage had already been done. According to critics, that leadership vacuum convinced Clark and many of her supporters that the league would not always protect its biggest star. That is why some believe the NBC partnership carries so much significance. Supporters argue that powerful media companies have effectively become Clark's strongest allies. They claim the commissioner missed an opportunity to fully embrace the biggest star in women's basketball, and now watches as Clark's influence continues growing beyond the league's control. It is also difficult to separate the NBC story from the Olympic roster controversy. Many viewed Clark's exclusion from the 2024 U.S. Olympic team as an example of veteran gatekeeping, with supporters arguing she was told to wait her turn despite her unprecedented popularity. League leadership publicly supported the selection committee's decision, but reports later suggested that television executives were disappointed because Clark's presence could have driven record-breaking viewership. According to those reports, leaving her off the roster cost millions in potential advertising value. Now, many believe NBC is determined not to repeat that mistake. The network reportedly plans to place even greater emphasis on Caitlin Clark during Wnba broadcasts, ensuring its biggest attraction remains front and center. Some observers view that shift as the network's correcting what they believe was a missed opportunity by the league itself. That change reportedly creates another challenge for Commissioner Engelbert. Many veteran players have spent months arguing that Clark alone is not responsible for the league's growth, but supporters believe the NBC agreement sends a very different message. Critics argue that the television partners have made it clear where they see the league's greatest value. That reportedly leaves Engelbert trying to balance two competing forces: maintaining unity inside a locker room where many players oppose special treatment for one individual, while also satisfying media partners focused primarily on the player generating the largest audiences. According to those reports, that conflict has created enormous pressure, with the commissioner caught between veteran concerns and broadcast partners whose priorities increasingly revolve around Caitlin Clark. The growing divide inside the sports media has become another major part of this story, with many believing it has raised difficult questions about the league's authority. Much of that discussion centered on Hall of Famer and WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes. Critics accuse Swoopes of downplaying Caitlin Clark's accomplishments, questioning statistics, avoiding mentioning Clark by name during broadcasts, and making comments that many fans interpreted as dismissive. The backlash became so intense that reports later claimed swoops would no longer be part of certain broadcasts, fueling speculation that media executives had sent a clear message: do not damage the product. Supporters argue that, in today's media landscape, Caitlin Clark has become that product. Many believe Cathy Engelbert would prefer a league that continues celebrating every WNBA legend equally, but television partners appear increasingly focused on protecting the league's biggest attraction. To some observers, even longtime icons are no longer untouchable if they are viewed as hurting the league's fastest-growing audience. That has led many to believe the commissioner is steadily losing control of the narrative as media partners reshape the conversation around Caitlin Clark. At the center of that pressure is the league's financial future. For years, the WNBA relied heavily on NBA support while searching for sustained profitability. Then Caitlin Clark arrived and attendance surged, jersey sales exploded, television ratings climbed, and charter flights became financially realistic. Supporters often describe this as the Caitlin Clark effect. Many believe league executives understand how much of the current financial momentum is connected to Clark's popularity. Critics argue that if Clark were unavailable because of injury, chose to step away, or decided to play elsewhere, the league could lose a significant portion of its current momentum. Some reports suggest the league's media agreements also depend on maintaining strong viewership, increasing the importance of its biggest star. According to those arguments, Clark now possesses unusual influence because her popularity affects the entire business. Many believe this is one reason Commissioner Cathy Engelbert faces so much pressure. Some supporters even argue that if Clark requested changes involving scheduling, travel, or media obligations, league officials would have strong incentives to listen because of the financial stakes involved. The schedule itself has also become part of the debate. Early in the season, many fans noticed that Indiana Fever faced one of the toughest opening stretches in the league. Some believe the schedule placed extraordinary pressure on Clark during her adjustment to the professional game. Others argued she simply overcame a difficult schedule and continued improving. Regardless of the interpretation, many now believe national television partners will seek more favorable scheduling for Indiana because Clark consistently delivers the league's largest television audiences. If that happens, critics argue it becomes even harder for the commissioner to maintain the long-standing message that every team receives equal treatment. Sponsors have added another layer to the discussion. Major brands such as Nike, Wilson, and Gatorade continue investing heavily in women's basketball, but many of their biggest campaigns prominently feature Caitlin Clark. Reports have also highlighted Clark's endorsement agreements, with some suggesting they exceed her WNBA salary. That creates an unusual dynamic in which outside corporate partners may hold enormous influence over the league's most recognizable player. According to supporters, if Nike, NBC, or other major partners coordinate directly with Clark and her representatives, the league office becomes less central to those conversations. Some reports even claim Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has become frustrated watching major sponsors work directly with Clark rather than through league leadership. Whether those reports are accurate or not, many observers believe the growing relationship between Caitlin Clark and the league's biggest corporate partners has fundamentally changed the balance of power inside the WNBA. And beyond executives, sponsors, and television networks, there is still one group whose influence continues growing every single game: the fans. The Clarkies, the millions of new supporters, are distinct from the WNBA's devoted, albeit tiny, fan base. They are devoted to Caitlin Clark rather than the WNBA. They have publicly denounced the other players, the officials, and the commissioner. Fans are rebelling against Cathy Engelbert. Thousands of comments on social media demand her resignation each time she makes a mistake. These fans feel empowered by the NBC News. It confirms their belief that Caitlin Clark is the biggest reason the league has reached a new level of popularity. To them, the television deal is proof that the networks see Clark as the centerpiece of the league's future. The commissioner is attempting to avoid upsetting the millions of new fans who foot the bill, while also appeasing the legacy fans who dislike the shift. The balancing act is nearly impossible. In essence, the NBC announcement gives the new fans legitimacy. It further distances Cathy Engelbert from the traditional WNBA culture she came from by telling them, "You were right. She is the star." She now finds herself trying to satisfy two completely different audiences whose expectations continue to move farther apart. She is losing both the public's faith and the locker room. How the league responded to the allegations of racism and toxicity was one of the most contentious parts of this story. Instead of addressing the behavior on the court, several members of the media and the league misrepresented the fans' harsh treatment of Caitlin Clark as poisonous. It was a deflection strategy, but that strategy is no longer effective. The league can no longer hide behind specialized storylines because NBC is bringing a broad, worldwide audience to the games. There will be 4K cameras, bigger broadcasts, and closer examination of every major moment. Next season, there will be more than simply a Twitter argument if a player takes a cheap shot at Caitlin Clark. The Today Show will have a segment on it. The commissioner is aware of this. She knows the league's reputation will now be judged by a much larger audience than ever before. She is aware that she must improve the league's reputation due to NBC's increasing scrutiny. The casual spectator will not put up with any more roughness that verges on assault. Further internal strife results from Cathy Engelbert's forced crackdown on the same veterans she has been attempting to defend. What comes next, then? That is the question driving the entire eruption. When the commissioner looks at the 2025 season, she sees an unfamiliar environment. The Golden State Valkyries will join the league. Expansion is taking place, expectations are rising, and the pressure is at an all-time high. Rumor has it that Caitlin Clark's team is aware of their influence and may begin making even greater demands. Everyone travels privately, security improves, and officiating standards change. A rookie making demands used to be laughed out of the room. However, if Caitlin Clark shows signs of discontent, NBC executives would probably call the commissioner within minutes to ask, "How do we fix this?" Cathy Engelbert is no longer fully in charge. She now works as a middle manager, trying to keep both the networks and the league's biggest attraction satisfied. Even if her title stays the same, it represents a significant reduction in practical authority. The picture becomes much clearer as we reach the end. The NBC announcement was the final turning point that signaled the end of the old WNBA. According to reports, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is upset because the market has moved faster than the league itself. She tried to preserve the idea that everyone should be promoted equally, but the business world demanded a superstar. Caitlin Clark has shown that she is now the center of the WNBA by gaining the support of the world's largest media companies and turning down the relentless recruiting efforts of the unrivaled league. The reported frustration inside the front office reflects a major shift in power. The WNBA is no longer viewed as a charity case. It has become a major business, and major businesses follow the money. Right now, many believe that money follows Caitlin Clark. Whether the commissioner is upset, the veterans are frustrated, or the critics remain vocal, the spotlight continues moving in one direction. The revolution will be televised, and according to this narrative, Caitlin Clark will remain at the center of it as NBC brings the league to an even bigger audience. The final unanswered question is whether Commissioner Cathy Engelbert can adapt to this new reality or whether she will become another casualty of the Caitlin Clark era. However, that may not be the end of the story. There are already rumors that another major power shift could be coming, this time involving the Women's National Basketball Players Association itself. But that is a story for another day. Please share your thoughts in the comments section, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.